Hi, Zach. So let's try this out. I look forward to hearing your feedback. So I looked over your lesson plan, and as usual, it's looking great. I love the depth of your planning. I love how you're scripting out pieces and you're anticipating student answers. I like that you're really solidly transitioning from one piece to another, and that you're holding that relevance to what the students are doing so close, right? That you've got that co-text piece in there. So let's look at some specifics. So I see their prior content knowledge, they're already used to making connections from text to self and making inferences. And today what you're going to be doing is talking about the logical appeals. I like the fact that you went from the standard and dug all the way down into the evidence outcome. So their goal is to write arguments to support claims with clear reasons, and they're going to explain and imitate emotional and logical appeals. One thing I did get a little concerned about as I was reading all the way through your lesson plan, it felt to me a little bit more like a close reading lesson plan than a writing lesson plan. So if the desired result is that students write arguments to support claims, and that they explain and imitate emotional and logical appeals used by writers, then there needs to be a little bit more focus on actually writing arguments. And I feel like as we go through, and I'll show you some places where I was concerned, that it really felt like what they were doing was reading and analyzing for arguments instead of thinking like writers and thinking towards writing arguments. Let me see if I can show you some places where I saw some opportunity for change. So I like your essential question very much. What benefits or dangers do these beliefs present? Courtney's in here. You can come in, I'm just doing my thing. And I like your students will be able to, I think those are very accurate, that they'll be able to organize their thoughts into an argument. That's such an essential pre-writing skill. And then they'll be able to write an emotional appeal. That's the students will be able to right here. That's the one I think that we can address more effectively in some of your transitions. Again, your assessments are great, verbal check for understanding in small group. And I like your summative assessment that kids are going to create an outline of an argumentative essay that uses emotional appeal. Again, you know in your teacher brain that summative assessment is coming up, and I'm not sure that it's super clear to the kids all the way through. Love your differentiation and modification, and that you gave me ADD. Which I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have that, whatever. I like your scripting, good morning class, greeting students, daily grammar practice. So their hook, have you ever felt really down? Has anyone heard of the Macklemore song? You can kick this much more into the writing lesson plan mode than other modes simply by starting out and having them write some of their responses to this so that they're really in that writing mindset. So go ahead and listen to the Macklemore song, awesome choice, allowing for small group conversations before you call on them. When you say that I want you all to identify how he uses language. What words or phrases does he use to convey meaning to the audience? Who is his audience? What types of evidence does he use to support his claim or theme? Those are all very large questions that would require scaffolding on your part. I would recommend scaling it back, especially since this is an 8th grade lesson plan. Start with one at a time. What words or phrases does he use to convey meaning? What words or phrases indicate, what audience he's speaking to? What words or phrases does he use to support his claim? Things like that. Might not be a bad idea just to do a brief little review there of what is theme or what is claim. I love that you have imagined your way through the classroom too, where students will be sitting, where you'll be moving around. And I really like all of your positive feedback to the students too. So then you've imagined your way through some student answers here, and that's very good. And you've imagined your way through examples. Now you talk here about bringing up emotional moments and discussing Macklemore's personal life. and you move the kids into the words and definitions here, ethos, pathos, and logos. This is an opportunity right here to remind them that this is a writing lesson and that writers use these appeals and make these choices for intentional reasons. It's that piece that keeps bringing the kids back around. Remember, if they're in 8th grade, well, students in general, but especially if you're gearing yourself towards middle school, you're going to need to be the one bringing them back around to that objective as often as possible. Not in an annoying way, but every 7 to 10 minutes. So reminding them of the words is really good, that they're going to be using ethos, pathos, logos. Explicitly telling them we'll be using them, you need to know them. Using the callback model, I like that a lot. Your guided practice in here, you have them going back to the rhetorical triangle, and then you have them looking at Medea and Jason. And I wonder if that is a little high level for looking at ethos, pathos, and logos. I don't know, you would know your students better than me, but that was just my general inclination here. You know, hoping that your students quote things like, do I betray my father's throne? Do I save an unknown stranger so that he is safe? And labeling that as pathos, that requires so many skills at once. I have to read, I have to understand context, I have to appropriate my background knowledge, I have to translate, and I have to apply it to pathos. So you may want to think about that text choice there. Then you have them go on to looking at using appeals for advantage, which is really good. Another opportunity right there for you to remind them that we want to think like writers, and so we want to look at why this writer made his or her choices. You do that here where you say, remember, we are writing an essay later that uses all 3 of the appeals. Careful on your wording there. You could cause students a lot of stress. You know, remember, we're going to be writing an essay, and they just sometimes get this sense of dread. Instead, if you say, remember, we're learning what good writers do so that we can practice our good writing later. You're not lying to them, but sometimes it's just in the delivery. So I like that you gave them 3 choices of literature up front. I Have a Dream, Julius Caesar, Barack Obama's speech. Really beautiful choices on your part. Nice wide variety. Allowing them to work on their own or with a partner is really good. And then their exit ticket for the day. I want you all to write how appealing to either the emotions, logic, or credibility of your audience is important when it comes to speech writing. What would happen if your audience doesn't find you credible? What would happen if you're talking about a touchy subject and your audience's emotions differ from yours? This gets a tiny bit away from your objective, right, where you want them actually writing and practicing logical appeals. So I don't know, this is like 98% on the mark, right? And so it would be, you know, I would with reserve judgment, like if I was grading this lesson plan, observing you do it, I would reserve judgment to see what you're doing next class period, because maybe that's your follow-up piece. So I like this for a metacognitive piece, and if the next step was going to be, good, now choose a logical appeal, write it, and justify your choice of it, that would work out really well. So I hope this is helpful. I look forward to hearing your feedback as far as volume of my voice and scrolling through your lesson plan. You know, did I go too fast? Did it make you dizzy? Were you able to see my cursor and highlights? Was this too much feedback for you to verbally process? Or do you just listen to it a few times? You know, really let me know how this is working, since it's something new for all of us. Thanks. See you in class.